Oh. Yeah.
Can I just give one reminder? For the Skype, can you please turn off Wi-Fi on your phones to make it more secure, the Skype connection?
Okay. So the reason why I'm here is that I have written a book about this theme, what is in the presentation, and then I was talking about that with Svante, and Svante asked me to speak about the theme of my book, which is unfortunately now only in Finnish. In Western thought, that paradigm of gradual change has been very strong, both in natural and social science. Since Aristotle's times, there has been this idea that nature does not make jumps. Especially Carl Linné was very important in formulating that later. But it's really strong also in social philosophy. For example, there's this cultural lag theory that everything changes very slowly, and also there is now very strong attitude against revolutions. That the revolutions never succeed properly. That the revolutions develop their own children. But if you think closely about these things, it's wrong. Nature does make jumps. It's obvious in micro scale. For example, ice changes to water just immediately. Don't little by little, but just in a jump. Yeah, and also nowadays there's much research that also bigger natural systems make jumps. For example, many ecosystems, but the clearest example is shallow lakes. They shift from clear state to turbulent muddy state just abruptly. And also just in the discussion about climate change and global geophysical systems, there is a lot of discussion that in the past the climate system and all this, the Earth system has changed in very abruptly, just in 1 year or something.
Sorry for the disturbance. Marta just joined us, so that's a good news.
Hi, Marta.
Yes.
Hi, Marta.
Marta?
Yeah.
Yes, hello. Okay, great.
I am.
So you're just on time to listen to Olli's talk. Sorry for the disturbance.
Yeah.
And
Okay, thank you.
yeah, great. We'll talk to you when he's done.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So what about the abrupt or very fast social change? The first clear case is natural disasters. There is such a branch of sociology called disaster sociology, and really what it studies after such a natural disasters, there is no general panic. Only elite panics because they lose their power. Instead, immediately new egalitarian social structures arise in a moment, and they are sort of practical structures because they are used in just to rescue people, and it's there's research that shows that in fact most who can be rescued are rescued by these grassroots teams, and also horizontal organizing to support survivors. It appears immediately because those old structures hierarchical structures do not function anymore. But of course, then for us, much more important cases, revolutions. And in Finnish language, revolution is vallankumous, it's meaning abolishing power. And revolutions very often are that various hierarchies and many cultural dominations are dissolved immediately. Not all structures, but many important structures are dissolved, and instead there are councils and factory committees, assemblies, and other entities come to pursue direct democracy, and of course it's in this case it's important to notice that in English and in many languages power has two meanings. It's power over, domination, and power to just the ability to have effects, to ability to do together many things, and of course in these councils have power in that sense, but very often little, not so much domination. No, there are many examples, and unfortunately I've been very much inspired by Mari Bookchin's great book, Third Revolutions, where he discusses all these revolutions and how there have been such direct democratic institutions which have been built very, very quickly. And about this approach, the social change, in a way most interesting case is a revolution in Hungary in '56, because really in 12 days they built 2,100 councils on all levels. Direct democratic structures were just built immediately, and it's ironical that they created real Soviet system, because council is the same as Soviet, and then Soviet Union became and destroyed everything. And also, for example, in Iran Revolution, which didn't adapt so happily, there was direct democratic elements. It's shortage of workers' councils, and then in Argentina, and of course in most importantly for us in Rojava. But how is it possible that the society can, in certain circumstances, change very quickly? And I think that it's important to see that society is never fully integrated whole, that there are conflicts and fractures and undercurrents, and all that was not integrated to the prevailing system can be called like shadow society, that exists as shadow society, and one part of it is a shadow economy, that those goods and service production and distribution that's not recognized in the official economy, and also all these commons, that they are really important all the time for survival of people, even if, for example, if you this cross-national products, they are discarded, they are not taken into account. And then there is shadow policy, there are movements and all this what Bookchin called legacy of freedom, and for what Edgeline calls democratic civilization. It's actual all the time. And also there's invisible resistance, that even in circumstances where there's a repressive regime, there's resistance. For example, inside Soviet Union, there was a lot of resistance, even if it was illegal and you couldn't do it visible. and also it's important to see that what are we as human beings, that also hardly any human mind or personality is integrated in whole. That's a mild schizophrenia in us that is in a way normal. But usually in philosophy and psychology, this is not taken into account. But on the other hand, there is this undercurrents of thinking of multiple personalities or divided mind. And in one philosophical discussion where it's dealt with is this discussion about acrasia or lacking of command or weakness of will. It's a long philosophical discussion. And of course, in post-structuralism, in that French philosophy, you're not suppose you are thinking that really personality is divided, that these discourses are different subject positions, and therefore you are not such an integrated whole. And also in Buddhist philosophy, this idea of dividing personalities is very common, but it's not. It is of course important to see that this is only mildly so that we have ways of sometimes trying to integrate what is not integrated. And so we can think that besides shadow society, there is also a shadow personality, and which is acting in shadow society. Shadow personality in that sense that it's repressed, that because in the present structures don't allow it to flourish. And it exists only in dreams and in subconscious, who were very important actors in France. 1968, they had a lot of theorizing about this repressed side of people, which comes in revolutions. So in that sense, there is also hidden potentiality of the person, because they have this shadow personality. I think that in disasters and revolutions is a prevailing society weakens and moves to a background, and when the shadow society gets stronger and moves to a front. And so the roles of these two societies are in a way swapped. Also, the personalities come forward. Then, of course, that what I now have said, it's a kind of explanation of revolutions and in a way revolutionary theory. But then, just to add more, I think it's important to see how biologists and ecologists are explaining this rapid shift in biology, and there is such a theory called a regime shift theory, which is now quite popular in many ecological scholars, and it's like a developmental chaos theory, which is, of course, chaos theory is very misleading. Its name is misleading because it's in fact it's a theory of non-predictability or deterministic non-linear systems. That in nutshell, it says that Laplace was wrong. Laplace was that very famous French mathematician who said that if he knows everything what's happening now, he can predict That really is the key of service that says that it's impossible. Now, then they are biologists that are asking why ecosystems stay in a certain state and why the variety is certain bounds and what makes them shift to another regime. And so they speak about a negative and positive feedback mechanism. So those feedbacks go in a way that the ecological or other systems are in a way taking their output as input, and so that there's a loop. That's a question. That's the essence of feedbacks. And so negative feedbacks maintain a system in a present regime. For example, when nutrients increase the amount of algae that causes turbidity in a lake, the number of daphnia that eat them also increases, and therefore there is not much increase in turbidity or muddy state. But positive feedbacks do make influence the other way around, that they try to move a system to a different regime. For example, in a lake, there are fish which catch daphnia, those small animals, and therefore there will be more algae and more turbidity, and potentially fish then catch more daphnia and so on. And so in normal circumstances, this negative feedback dominant and regime is preserved. But in a regime situation, in situation like a typhoid, negative feedbacks may weaken or positive feedbacks may become so strong that the system starts rapidly to move to another regime. For example, in case of this lake, that this turbidity kills some big water plants that protect daphnia, and therefore fish catch more easily daphnia, and the more turbidity and more plants are killed and more daphnia growth and so on. So very rapidly the state of the lake gets to muddy or to turbid. So for those who are like this in a mathematical way of presentation, I present this figure that this is how it's very often described, is that when the state or conditions get from A to B, then the abruptly the system goes to a state regime S from regime S regime T, and then but just to get back, you just move quite widely from you just don't. It's not enough to move a little bit from B to A, but you must go all the way to A just to have another abrupt shift. And this region between A and B is mathematical chaos where system to state. Okay, but what about societies? Now, let's speak about societies. In this case, I'm entering to, how to say, to uncharted territory because really these models which are built there for ecosystems. They are, of course, only not wholly applicable to society, but you can think about feedbacks also in society that are processes gain strength when social order is endangered. For example, you can think that in most societies, at the moment, there's this kind of feedback loop that when social change movements grow more, there will be more violence and repression in many ways, and therefore fear and insecurity will increase, and then there is growing acceptance of authoritarian politics which hamper movements. That kind of feedback loops you can state that exist in our societies, for example, just now. But on the other hand, there are always positive feedbacks also in society. Processes that potentially get stronger when there is a challenge to a present order. For example, that the social movement may encourage other people to join or to build other movements. And experiences inside of economy may provoke thoughts how things could be in future and delegitimize the prevailing order. So that potentially all that happens inside our society, you can say that it creates positive feedbacks in society. So what's significance of this kind of model of thinking of theorizing about social change this way? I think its significance is very much similar to dialectical philosophy and process philosophy, and really also other people have stated in that idea that they are, tools of thought. But of course, society is not ecosystem, and something which can be integrated into a model. For example, in a way that human understanding of society is inevitable partial, because there is this phenomenon called reflexivity, that our understanding of society changes it. That we just to state that society is something, then immediately society is different. And so it's impossible to get outside society, and therefore it's difficult to understand our society, and also because society is as it said sui generis, or another form of existence. But then we have this our indoor existence and perspective. They get very easily mixed up, and therefore there are inherently difficulties to understand society. But so if anyway, this what I am saying, it's a partly adequate way of understanding society. What are the consequences? Now, anyway, okay, yeah, I can finish. It's and one thing is that it may create hope in seemingly hopeless situation, because of course in our ecological situation is such a catastrophe that people may end up to be completely hopeless. But of course you could also think as some Marxists have thought have interpreted Marxist theory that okay, this all this theory can make us complacent, and we can just relax that the revolution happens anyway. We don't have to do anything. Of course, this is one conclusion, because these countercurrents of positive feedbacks, which make revolution possible, that creates this societal phase shift are based on our activities. So that if we get complacent, that there will be, in that case, there will be no revolution. In that sense, all the time talking is very dangerous. So anyway, this you can also interpret this that this gives a new perspective for our activities, and so that that we can't think that we are just building a new society one block at a time. I think that we must just defend this shadow society and inside it prefigure future society, and we can build processes that potentially function as positive feedbacks when a suitable situation arises and they shift society to another phase, another regime. But then there is this problem that clearly you can see that there has been social phase shift of very rapid changes to grassroots democracy, but they have lasted only a short period of time. And of course, one reason is outside pressure, but often there has been inside forces that have been decisive, such as Lenin and the Bolshevik Party. And very often when you adapt to revolutionary situation, you don't think that it's a real thing. It's something aberration that this is very strange, and so you must build you have plan a proper society so that after the party takes over. But really now we have possibilities to understand that really democratic social ecological society is truly different, and so it's so much different that really you don't have to start by force building such like a efficient society, but this inefficiency which is in democracy, it's an essential part of it, and it really you can think that inefficiency and these long democratic processes, they are part of happiness. Hannah Arendt has such an idea that public happiness, that really our present society makes us alienating, and therefore we must so much produce and consume. But if we are functionally democratic, just that existence or that democracy may make us happy. Okay, that was all.
Thank you, Olli, for the really compact presentation. I think we can proceed with Marta, and after we can have a collection of reflections. So Marta is going to present squatting movements in Spain and Brazil, resistance and autonomy in the occupation of empty buildings. Ακούγομαι, in central urban areas.
Okay.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Maybe too loud. Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Okay.
Okay.
So, you ready to start?
So, well, first of all, I apologize for not being there. Also, Diana and me are in difficult times. Not so difficult, but a phase of change. So Diana is trying to find a way to stay in Spain after finishing her PhD in 2 weeks' time now. And I'm looking for work because I finish it in a month. And it's mainly why we tried to find a cheap flight, but we didn't reach it. And I apologize for Diana. She needs to work today. I don't know exactly. I think she needed to work yesterday night, so she's not kind of. It wasn't possible to be now here. So we like
Sorry,
We wanted to show the impact of squatting and occupations.
Sorry, Martha.
Both,
Can I interrupt you for a second?
yeah.
Could you? Is it possible to make your screen in presentation mode so that we can maybe see it? Not our faces. The actual presentation. Is it possible for you? Yes, this one, because we're projecting now on the wall, and presentation mode will allow everybody to see it.
But now you can see it.
You can see it. Make it full screen. So if you can click on full screen, it would be great.
Okay, sorry.
Great, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah.
More or less.
Like I said, I can.
It's better. But
I don't know if maybe.
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, it's better.
Maybe not.
Okay.
Anyway, I will try to pass through the presentation fast.
Okay, that's better. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I want to say so I wanted to say, just to introduce us, Diana is from Niterói in Brazil, near Rio de Janeiro. And we knew each other here in Sevilla because she lived in Spain, in Sevilla in 2006. Here she experienced how it was to participate in social centers, in SWAT social centers, and I was also involved in these social centers and in different movements fighting for the right to housing. So for some time she worked on the difference between squatting in Europe, in Europe, I don't really think so, but more or less South Europe. She worked on the difference between squatting in Europe and occupying in Brazil or America Latina. She spoke about that squatting in Europe was more political, was more looking for a need of spaces for doing things differently, while in Brazil, occupations of lands or buildings were more related to a need of housing. So in this presentation and what we worked together, we explored these differences, and finally we are starting to see that it's mixed and how these differences changes as long as the socio-economical situations change in each of the countries or regions. So we start from saying that squatting or occupations appear as a resistance to neoliberal metropolis, and that the action of organized people is a way of demanding basic necessities. As I said before, also the both types of occupations, more political or more right to housing, let's say, are intertwined and mixed. And these kind of movements are also doing a civilization or making people, the rest of the population aware of the problems or of a big part of the society, but they are also making pressure on the state, demanding policies and demanding intervention and demanding money for doing social programs and for solving housing needs. In Spain, there's an important point in 2011 with this movement 15M that you already know, I'm sure. But the same thing happened in Brazil 2 years later, in 2013. So we are showing there that these kind of movements are happening in the two continents. And in the two countries also, the squatting or the occupation of empty buildings are used to make pressure and to make visible these problematics. Also, these kind of movements try to show that the important is the use of the existing buildings. We are putting on the first the use value of this city that already exists. Not the money value, but the not the financialization value, but the use value of all the city that is already there. And of course, however, this action is not enough. We cannot solve these problems only with our action. And both in Brazil and in Spain, the action of I don't know what kind of government, but the action of our public system is needed. In Spain, after 2011, as we said before, the movement of squatting came again, and I will try to explain it after that. And we show again this difference between what we have we have said as occupation movements, which are most focused in solving the housing needs. Sorry.
Could you remove this gray window on your screen because you can't see?
There we showed these differences that I mentioned before between squatting and occupying, more political and more housing needs, we could say. But anyway, we can find how in Brazil the latter experiences of occupation have also this political aim and visibilization and awareness and all I said before for Europe, South Europe anyway. And we can see there how the two countries and the two continents are converging in this way of occupying and squatting and using not only the built city, the housing and the buildings, but also what is more important, what is also important is the public space. As we say, as I have said before, we'd like also to show a more personal approach to all these experiences. We met each other in 2006 in Sevilla, and we were different persons that we are right now. And we saw the squatting and the occupation in a way, and now with 10 years or more than other experiences, I would like to mention that in 2012 I had the opportunity to participate in one of these collective squattings in Sevilla. It was known as Corral Utopia. It was a collective squat, or we can say squat or occupation. I think that it was both things at the same time. There were nearly 40 families involved and a lot of other militants and activists who were participating in 15M movement. I think we tried to solve in the same time the need for housing for these people and try to make visible that there were thousands of people losing their houses at this time. And at the same time, I think we were trying to solve the need to participate in a different way. I don't know how well, but these two needs, met in a way in this experience. It's this picture. Sorry. If I had to resume in only one thing, what I learned there, I would say I would point out the importance of our previous experiences. In Sevilla, if Corral Utopia was possible, it was because here and in Andalusia and in Spain, we had previous examples that had been carried out before. And I would like to show in some few minutes I guess it's possible, 2 minutes. The first one shows the experience carried out in the media in the first 2000s. I think it was 2003 and 4. It was what could be called as a developing urban area, central area. Some women occupied an empty building. It has had public money to be built, but it was finished, but it was not used yet. It was called San Bernardo 56 because it was the name of the street and the number of the street. And I think the video name is the same. And 10 years later, as I said, Corral Utopia was born. 10 years later, we didn't fight against evictions in central areas because of the renovation and the developing young areas. But we fought about against eviction in poorer neighborhoods because they couldn't pay their mortgages, or even they couldn't pay her rents. It's important to mention that there were people evicted from public houses because they couldn't pay rents. It's not only mortgages in Spain. And it was like that Corral Utopia was born. And finally, it's important to say that nowadays, 5 years later, Corral Utopia, I think we will need to fight against evictions in the central area because of Airbnb and other touristic developments. So let's try the videos. I know you are going to hear what. It's gonna be like the other one is the teaser of a film, a documentary film. It's not exactly. Sorry, it's not exactly. Sorry. This is a teaser for a documentary film. It's not exactly Corral Utopia. It's another one because at this time several corrales were alive and several people squat empty buildings in a collective way, and there were lots of families.
de banco no es suficiente. Eso de que quieren volver a la casa voluntariamente, eso no es evento. Voluntariamente no, lo que se firme. Mientras que no se firme, no hay voluntad ninguna. Dijeron en el banco que a nosotros no nos tocaba nada, que no tocaba de aquí, que no muriéramos.
If we have 5 minutes, I will play also this one, more final one.
Yeah, please,
Okay?
please take your time. Yeah, sure.
Okay. This is from Coraltopia. It was the video made for the last fighting, if we could say. Because, it was in 2014. Coraltopia was finally evicted in April 2014, and this video is some 2-3 weeks before to try the last try, let's say.
La normativa española sobre los desahucios es abusiva, así lo determinó el Tribunal de Justicia de la Unión Europea. El desahucio en España es dramático y que va a atacar a partir de ahora. En 2012, los bancos utilizaron casi 32.500 desahucios de primeras viviendas, más del 80% fueron de vivienda habitual.
Somos capaces de mantener este esfuerzo, la economía española crecerá con claridad. En toda la estudiante de la barrera de una treintena de familias han ocupado un edificio de vivienda que llevaban 2 años de alta. Ahora 36 familias que se han realojado en ese edificio forman una nueva comunidad. Lo llaman jornadas vecinas de la autonomía.
Con la lucha de la autonomía, porque el banco no puede ser el propietario de la vida de las personas, no abusar. Se debe respetar a la persona que las garras de los mismos bancos que nos han obligado a rescatarnos. Apoyar a contrario porque todo el mundo tiene derecho a una vivienda digna.
Creo que es un momento muy importante para salir a la calle y dar mejor a toda la gente que está trabajando por conseguir una vivienda digna. Los bancos están impulsar esas viviendas para hacer lo que tenemos es precisamente esto para pagar nuestra de 100 euros.
También hace una historia más de la comunidad más declarada voy a sectores poco escuchados por los servicios que están llegados a pocos de cada el área de móvil que sin embargo se competitiva para los seculares porque eso de desarrollo complicado en las negociaciones.
So, Marta, are you there?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we should proceed with some reflections. We have still like 10 minutes. Both you and Olli to take some questions, and then we can proceed to another session here in the conference. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Good. So, and whoever wants to put a question is ready to come here, since I don't think there is connection between the microphone and the PC. Is that right? So, yeah. Okay. Any comments? Yeah.
I have 2 questions for Olli, trying to link it back to the theory of social ecology. So the first one is on the concept of the shadow society. At some point you mentioned that it has a lot of potentiality, and in the philosophy of social ecology, the book talks about this aspect between the potentiality that become an actuality, and how we should always think what is, then what to be, what should be, or what could be rather. So the first question would be to know for you what would be, maybe put these 2 notions in parallel, the notion of potentiality and actuality, and the notion of shadow society, and how it can emerge from certain revolutions or social movements. And the other question would be linked to the fact that, well, again, mentioned that ecology and more globally the organic philosophy have been quite critical of this system approach, and in a way that it can lead to, again, this same mechanistic kind of ontology of nature. So I'm just wondering, how can you separate the methods and the method of system theory, and how it can inform social movement through representation, without putting in the top of mechanistic kind of philosophy as a way of perceiving nature also. So that would be my questions.
Shall I answer?
Yeah.
Take some more questions?
You can.
Yeah. From my perspective, there are 2 kinds of potentialities. Potentiality of social activities which are in a shadow, which really exist, and which can be in a situation come to the fore. But another potentiality was repressed altogether, which is like dreams and in a subconscious and so, and which really is normally completely invisible. That how to say, there's 2 kinds of invisibilities. That another is that the present in a way show to even if it's self-evident that other processes which go parallel. On the other hand, invisibility, which has which can be only understood if you have some deep understanding of society. That even if this torch would be aimed to social yes, it's a system approach, but in a way, how is the theorizing of non-linearity and chaos in systems? It just break up the normal system approach. That you see that even in very simple thing, like what people said, you have such very you can have, it's like a organizing, but that is how to say that this kind of the system theory which comes from a chaos theory and this religious theory is in a way behind. But, and I think it helps us to adjust. We must be we must all the time see that this is only partial. But anyway, even if we don't use system language, any language, linguistical representation of the word is also partial. So but somehow that is why it clarifies for some people how society works, but also another kind of society. I accept that.
I'm curious about. Yeah. Yeah.
Volume.
If nothing, you can try to write it.
Oh, right. You can write the question.
Speak into the microphone.
Where's the microphone?
Nice. Nothing. You would like to write it?
I'll try. Can you hear me? No. Okay.
Yes. You can try.
Sorry? Can I try to speak?
No, yeah. I'm hearing you. No.
Okay, good. I'm curious about more like what's happening now. What's like the like you said the what's the name in Corrales, Sofia? It's evicted and yeah. And so how is the fight continuing and like what's been the like outcomes from the fight? It's been like how are you influencing and how has that impact been going? Like how are you continuing and what's the you understand my question?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So for the people who was living there in the building, when the eviction came, the way I remember, 18 families, and all these families were relocated in public houses or similar situations, because this was a promise of the government of the moment. It's a complex family because it was a government made of Socialist Party and Communist Party. This government doesn't exist anymore. There's the socialist again forever and ever. So they were relocated, and in a way, the fight was also relocated and say dispersed or spread. I don't know how to say. There's some people who continued naming themselves Corrales, and for some months they continued fighting. There's some other people who continued fighting for right to housing in different organizations, kind of human organizations. 2014, I don't know if you know and remember that there was also Podemos building itself at this moment in the beginning of 2014, and then I think that a lot of people who were fighting into this movement and other movements moved themselves to Podemos, so it's difficult to make other scenario. Nowadays there are some organizations fighting not only for right to housing but also for right to the city and for different social rights, but we tend to be written as we were before 2009. I hope that the network was created so we can use it again in a few months.
Thank you.
Can I just explore it? This notion of kind of like that humans are schizophrenic and no integral self, and you actually mentioned that, for instance. And they're both integrated organisms. You know, I mean, Bookchin talked about the essence of a dialectic approach to realize the unity in diversity. So at the same time that we are integrated organisms and act as such, we're also divided in many different ways. We perform different social roles and whatnot. And like I said yesterday, there's this fundamental paradox in humans that we're both natural beings and social beings. So we're kind of both in a sense. And it was interesting at the end, you talked about our activities, which assumes that we're humans and we're organisms with agency. And of course, with the Buddha, Buddha's always taken as the prototype of getting rid of the integrated self, as it were. You know, the Buddha. There is no self. Okay. What you've got to realize, you've got to put Buddha in his historical context. But Buddha was writing in several, BC, 400 odd BC. What he was arguing against when he was saying there is no integrated self or there's no self, the words he was using is anatta or anatma. In Pali, it's anatta. Anatta means in the Hindu tradition a kind of soul, a soul that's immortal and is reincarnated. And in Hinduism, eventually becomes one with absolute, as it were. He's arguing against there's no such thing as the soul as an immortal spiritual essence. And that's why he talks about this idea of a chariot. He says, well, a chariot, you just take it apart, remove the wheels, remove this and whatnot. What you got left? Nothing. And using that image to undermine the notion of a notion that there's a unified self in the way of being an immortal soul. He never denied that we're not organisms with agency. In fact, he always says, be true to yourself. You are your own refuge. So he's not undermining the self as we most of us understand it. He's undermining the kind of notion of a kind of spiritual, immortal soul idea. So I think Bookchin's got the right idea that we always look in terms of unity with diversity, and they're both important. Stressing on one or the other is both wrong. We're more than just isolated units, but neither can you sort of come disintegrate us so there's nothing left, sort of thing, or treat us as we're all schizophrenic. Sorry, that's just a reflection of it.
Olli, do you want to make? Yeah. Buddhism is very much because I know already past Norwegian ecological Future who was, but as a same activist and really, even Buddhism can be used in a non-conservative way. That Buddhist and try society. You're right that there is both integration and diversity in human cycles, but I think the prevalent discourse is just to emphasize this interest, just to understand change. I think that you must remember also this diversity of this non-integration, which in a way is also important to see that other presenters say that those people who are have been actively against us in certain circumstances. They are our best allies. So people change, and the ability to change is best to in a way non-integrated. There are some other sides of mind which certain circumstances can
Thank you.
You wanted to.
Okay, please.
I like the possibility of social change, like to say, you know, actions make a difference. I was recently in an event where somebody said the biggest enemy we have is apathy. So I agree with that, and I found it interesting. I think it may help people. What I wonder is, the writings of Immanuel Wallerstein, who writes also about this being in a situation of chaos, where right now our interventions, practical interventions, make more sense than in very stable situations where they don't change so much, but that right now even small changes can have these big influences. Is that similar to your? I mean, are you familiar with those?
Yes, I have read Immanuel Wallerstein's text, but not. Yeah, I think that it's on the similar lines.
Okay, thank you all. I think we should proceed about the book proposal, and Fede is going to present and make the call. Thank you, Olli. Thank you, Marta. So, Marta, do you want to stay with us, or